Have all questions been submitted? One more? Okay.
We should probably have someone independent just picking from the bag.
You want her to pick them?
You could even pick it, I don't care.
We could each pick our own.
Good
What
plan.
do you want?
Perfect.
Here.
You pick for me and I'll pick for you. Go ahead.
You want me to read it? Okay.
Wait, let me get a pen so I could write down.
Oh, yeah, I have the pens right here. There you go, my bag of goodies, I got it. Okay, this question is for Mayor Spinello. What is your view on the appropriate size of our police force? Please be specific. And if elected, what, if any, changes do you plan to make to the leadership, structure, and the personnel of the Glen Cove Police Department?
I think that as far as the police department goes, they were depleted for a while, and we put them up to 50, which is the number. There's actually 51 because there's one going out. At that number, what they get to do is we get to have a CPU, which is a crime prevention unit. We get to have 4 detectives, and the detectives play a very, very important role. If we didn't have the detectives, they take care of really all the business of actually following up on the arrest and going after people when there's charges and stuff. The CPU, that's a tremendous unit, okay? They go out and they hit troubled spots. And I've ridden with these guys. They know exactly where the problems are. They know exactly where the drugs are. And they react and they do arrests because I get the sheets every day. They take care of business. So right now, with the capacity the way they are, I think they're good. I think that the staffing is good. And let's remember that one of the other things was when I was involved in the negotiation for the police force. Okay, I negotiated where the amount of time that it takes to someone to get to full pay went to 8 years, okay? So that was a reduction from 6 years. And that time in paying, we lowered the base pay and the way that it went up. So what happened is when we did the savings, the calculations with John Sharon, turns out that over an 8-year period on these new officers, we saved $300,000 per officer. And for the first time, okay, police overtime is going to be below budget this year, and we've actually budgeted for less than it was the prior year. No, he's going to answer the same question.
Yeah.
No, he's got 2 minutes, and then if I want a rebuttal, I get a 1-minute rebuttal.
I'm just waiting for the time to go up. In regards to our police force, I do believe that we have Glen Cove's finest. They are a fantastic police department. They are extremely responsive. I remember a time when I had a family member that needed a first responder there, and believe it or not, it's the police department that was there immediately because they get the call. But with that said, I do believe that our police department is at the appropriate level. And in regards to CPU, what I would like to do in regards to the crimes prevention unit is that right now there's only 2 officers on right now. What I would consider doing, and obviously I'd have to take a look and read further through the contract, but adding 2 additional CPU officers there and potentially trying to reorganize the lieutenants or the sergeants so that they can address and give more support to the crimes prevention unit, because I believe that it's paramount to make sure that we continue to have a safe city, which we do have, and I think there are ways that we can become even safer. So with that said, I do believe that the department is at the appropriate levels. and we just have to find ways to make sure that we're continuing to reduce crime within the city of Glen Cove.
Just give a quick rebuttal to that. You can't take within the force and then take 2 officers off the street and put them in CPU, because then there's 2 less officers patrolling. So it's a house of cards. So if you wanted to really expand the CPU, unless they came up with a different kind of structure that I know nothing of right now, you couldn't really do it that way. So 2 people in CPU, they're pretty active and they get the job done. So to make that change and to add 2 more, you would be taking 2 off the street, and that spot has to be filled. I believe there's there's probably about 4 or 5 cars that go out to different sectors, and they patrol certain areas. So you have to have a certain number of minimum police staffed all the time. So if you add 2 without doing anything else, you'd probably run into an overtime issue.
Okay, Mayor Spinello gets to pick the next question. This question is for Councilman Gallo. Do you think it is ethical for a councilman who is under investigation by the Nassau DA to run for office?
In regards to a councilman, do I believe it's ethical for a councilman that is under investigation by the DA to run for office? I believe that we really need to review we need to implement a ethics review commission. I do believe that's very important. As you know, elected officials are and should be held to a higher standard in regards to their conduct. That is conduct within their own personal lives, and conduct also that involves city business. But with that said, as far as a council person in regards to ethical behavior, I think that the process should take its course, and at some point there will be an end result in regards to, I guess, these alleged charges. I'm not 100% sure as to which council person, but with that said, we really need to make sure that we implement an ethics review commission so that, council people and other city officials are held accountable for their actions.
Okay, Mayor Spinello.
Okay. People are charged with things all the time. It's a question of if and when they're guilty. So until that point, I don't think that there's any action to be taken. But as far as an ethics commission, I had put up an ethics commission, and I got a lot of pushback. As a matter of fact, I got pushback from Councilman Gallo on it. Okay, I think an ethics commission is a good thing to have. I think that it's a good system of checks and balances in our system. And as far as a councilman, this really is not the kind of questions that I think are good for us to be debating here, because I want to talk about city issues, and that's a supposition that I don't believe exists. So I'm going to leave my answer short on that one.
I'll take the 1-minute rebuttal period. In regards to that, your appointments for the Ethics Review Commission, I reviewed your commission members that you wanted to appoint. It just seemed like they were very partisan type of people, some of them at the very least. With that said, some of them were avid supporters of you. I just believe that whoever's on these commissions, they really should be neutral on the issues, and I think I had an issue with who you were selecting, because some of the people that you were selecting were the same people that come up here, and they come up here and they attack certain council people, And it just seemed, if we're going to go forward with an ethics review commission, these people should be neutral people that have the ability to be objective.
Thank you. Do you want to just... If you could pick one, please.
Nobody's having fun. Come on, smile. How about a little applause for Tony and I? Thank you.
Okay, next question. What do you think is the largest issue facing the Glen Cove is over the next 3 to 5 years, and how would you handle it?
Well, I don't think there's any one issue. Obviously, taxes always... Wait, hold on. Taxes are always first in everyone's mind. So taxes, I believe we're doing very well with that. Last year, we lowered the commercial tax rate. This year, we have a 0% increase in the residential rate. On top of that, the second biggest issue is probably quality of life. And that's an issue that I believe my administration tackled very well. Originally, there were 2 to 3 prosecutions a year. We have over 60 prosecutions. We've issued over $260,000 in fines. And we probably have 20 more cases hanging in the court. So quality of life is a real important issue in Glen Cove. No one wants to be living on a street where there's 10 cars out on the road when they wake up in the morning and 10 garbage pails. And like the adage goes, it burdens our infrastructures, it hurts our schools, it hurts our hospitals, it hurts our services. But we're really doing something here. In addition to what we're doing, I started walking on Sundays with some of the police officers and a code enforcement officer, and we actually walked neighborhoods. And when we walked those neighborhoods, we got feedback from them and information which led to lots of prosecutions, okay? We walked the landing, and the landing, which was probably one of the biggest spots there were, it has very few issues right now. We're getting very few calls in the landing. So we're a proactive group, okay? Code enforcement's doing a great job. And once again, that also becomes a revenue stream, which eventually, I don't want it to be any revenue, but right now that's a significant revenue stream for the city. So we tackle the taxes. I'm looking to grow the revenue base, and I think the plan we have in place going forward is really working well with this waterfront. The city's going to really experience a complete turnaround in their finances.
Councilman Gallo.
I get 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
In regards to this question, what is the largest issue facing Glen Cove in the next 3 to 5 years? I do have to agree with the mayor on the tax issue and the quality of life issues, and I do have to commend you as well, because you've done some good things in regards to cracking down on illegal housing and generating some more revenue. So there are variable issues, a number of issues that are that are really, really important. But for me, and for many of the residents in the city of Glen Cove, a very enormous concern is this waterfront development project. It really is a key concern. Number one, with potential plans of borrowing up to $100 million. This is a great concern for the city, because I believe that it could actually put us into insolvency or into bankruptcy. And I hope I'm wrong, but it just seems that all the indicators here with this project here, and it just seems that the redeveloper apparently is getting the better end of this deal for the taxpayers in here. As you mentioned earlier in your statement about quality of life, you want the quality of life to improve so there's no strain on the schools and the hospitals and services. But here you have a development project of 1,100 residential units, and the cost to the taxpayers in the future is absolutely astronomical. We are broke. How are we going to afford this? It's going to be almost impossible, especially that we're borrowing this money on our future taxes. So for me, that is a key concern, It is going to be a burden on our infrastructure. It's going to be a burden on our police department, our fire department, our sanitation, on our EMS. At some point, you have to say, let's go back and renegotiate with these redevelopers because they're a $7 billion company and the project is $1 billion. And if they could change their plan up to four weeks ago or so, then they should come back to the table as a public-private partnership, which it is, and they have to
Thank you, Councilman
pay for
Gallo.
more of, they have to pay more
Thank you,
because that's
Councilman
fair.
Gallo.
If they change it, we can change it.
2 minutes.
Mayor Spinello.
Okay, firstly, why would the city even enter into a project if it didn't think it was going to be profitable? Okay, both entities are vested in this. The redeveloper has 25 million. The city probably 30 million. The city has 15 million. This TIF that you're talking about, I don't know how many times you have to say, it's non-recourse to the city. And the money that's being borrowed is the money, okay, that the redeveloper is paying. It's just his taxing district. And that money is going to fund the infrastructure. It's going to create, in the 3 different taxing districts, they're all going to certainly have revenue that exceeds expenses. All these things have been done in the separate review. The traffic studies, the impact, this project will bring about maximum 40 students and probably cost the city about 800, 900,000 expenses. There's certainly more than that that's going to be on the revenue side.
Thank you, Mayor Spinello. Will you break the LDA with the waterfront developer, and do you understand the consequences of that action?
Hold on. Go ahead.
The LDA, the Land Disposition Agreement, as Mr. Zarin stated earlier tonight, I believe there's been a lot of amendments, but the first amendment was in 2003, and I believe there's been about 7 amendments since then. At the bottom line, I think I would definitely reevaluate and reconsider, because I want this to be the best deal for the taxpayers of Glen Cove. Now, will I absolutely look at it and analyze it and say, hey, let's come back to the table? Because at the end of the day, if this project is going to wind up costing the city over another $100 million in borrowing, we have to reconsider this. And would I go about looking towards breaking the land disposition agreement if it was a bad deal for the city of Glen Cove? Absolutely. Absolutely. That has to be reconsidered, because if we don't, then for many, many years to come, 30, 40 years, 50 years in the future, we may not be able to recover if it is a very, very bad deal. If it does actually propel us into a state of insolvency, where all of a sudden you have these drastic cuts in the DPW yard, and you have sky-high taxes because we can't afford to have a normal operating budget. So every avenue of this agreement, I'm not beholden to anybody. No special interest groups, no redevelopers. I don't make any special deals with anybody. It has to be a good deal for the city of Glen Cove, and if it's not, I'm going to work with my legal team. I'm going to work with the city attorney. I'm going to work with the attorneys for the redeveloper and ask the question, which is an important question: is this what's best and what is right for the city of Glen Cove? You have to figure out what is it going to cost the city in doing it and just maintaining the status quo, and what is it going to cost the city in reversing course.
Mayor Spinello.
The land disposition agreement has gone through a bunch of different transactions, and all of them have helped to move the project along. The consequences of defaulting on this is probably the city picking up a bill of about 30 or 40 million. In addition to that, we would probably have a clawback from the grants that we received, because we wouldn't really have completed our obligation. So the financial ramifications of pulling out of this are just, are are catastrophic, okay? Additionally, you'll have an area that's undeveloped, that there's no revenue source, and you'll go into a deeper hole. This is a good deal, okay? Everybody is making assumptions that the sky is falling here. It amazes me because here we have an opportunity finally to get out from under a hole that we've been under for years, okay? For 20 years this project has gone on, okay? And there's a lot of experts that have been involved in this, and it's evolved, and it's actually been good for the city. Nobody has been, the redeveloper has been very good to the city. They basically keep giving us over $1 million a year that we can go through with some of the costs on this. So this project, the upside of it, you've got 460 construction jobs with $36 million in income coming in, and some of that money being spent in Glen Cove. Post-construction, you have 545 jobs with $24 million being spent in the local economy. That's a boon for our downtown. We need empty nesters. We need young professionals. These are people with disposable income that are coming into the city. To say this project is not good, I mean, we have some of the best financial people around working on this, and to say it's not good, it hasn't been looked at, it's pie in the sky. This is a good project, it will work, and the city will be a major beneficiary.
Thank you, Mayor Spinello.
I know that the mayor is really trying to do his best, and I know that these issues aren't all his fault, although sometimes I like to blame him for everything. But with that said, this has started many years ago, almost 2 decades ago, and I'm sure there are financial ramifications. And you had mentioned the consequences potentially being between $30 and $40 million. Now, this is just me and my thought process. I would rather take a $30 million loss, as hard that will be to swallow, but instead of taking on a tremendous 3 times the amount of debt and have over $100 million in debt, you have an infrastructure here that can't sustain a project to that extent and that massive. You're going to have traffic issues. You're going to have cars all over the place. This is a big issue here that really needs to be thought out a little bit better. In addition to that, which makes matters worse and more sticky and more complex, is that not only the $100 million and more borrowing, potentially, but it's also on land that really needs to be environmentally remediated.
Thank you, Councilman Gallo.
The last thing
Next-
I want is for people to
next
get
question.
sick.
Who goes? Me?
1, 2,
So he picks for me,
3. Yeah,
yeah.
he picks, right. Okay, it's for Mayor Spinello. What are your views about the 2 11-story proposed by RXR?
Okay.
One second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. There was an adjustment that they went for an amended PUD for the western parcel of the waterfront. Originally, what was approved was 4 buildings, okay? 2 of them were 12 stories. So what happened now is they reworked it, and now it's 2 buildings, okay? And it's better view lines, okay, from Cliff Way and everything else, and it's less density. There's 22% less density, and we've got 3 more acres now of parkland there. This is good planning, and the planning board, I give them credit. They went through a whole process with this. They asked about additional parking. They did all types of studies on, I mean, all these things when you talk about traffic and all that, all these studies have been done. The traffic has been done, the impact on the infrastructure, what's going to happen with the schools, what the cost is what additional it's going to cost us for the fire department, the additional water revenue, sewer. All these studies have been done. Okay, and that building, okay, a lot of people don't like it. Remember, originally, This project was 16 stories. There were a bunch of 16-story buildings. Now it's really a destination location. So a lot of people are always going to argue over the height and stuff, okay? Some people don't like it, and I accept what people like, what people don't want. I'm comfortable with the project. I think these revisions are better. I think they're less, I think they make less of a footprint, and they leave more property,
Thank you, Mayor
open space.
Spinello. Councilman Gallo. Oh, 2 minutes, I keep forgetting, I'm sorry. Yeah, clear.
I'll take 155.
Okay.
In regards to the building, just to make you aware as to where I stand in regards to development, since the day I started and became a city council person back in 2011, my mindset has always been less density will be better for the city of Glen Cove. Naturally, we are already a peninsula, so we're already a dead end, and there's only a few ways out of Glen Cove, and mostly it's just Glen Cove Road. I mean, recently, within a couple of weeks, it took me at 4:30 to go from the Finley Middle School. It took me 20 minutes to get from the Finley Middle School to one of the local bakeries out there in Greenville, the Leonetti Pastry Shop. So as this project continues to grow, there are these unintended consequences of development. But with that said, since the question referred to two 12-story buildings, that's a massive structure right there. That's 12 stories. It is going to change the skyline at the waterfront. It's just out of the character within the city of Glen Cove. We have no 12-story buildings, not even close. And I believe that most people move from Queens to a suburban type area like Glen Cove because they're tired of the high rises. And we don't want this to become Queens from a development standpoint. We have to be more responsible and more calculated when we develop. And in addition to that, the other concern that I have is that these 12-story buildings for the volunteer fire department, are we putting them at risk? I mean, what are we going to do if there happens to be a fire on the 11th floor? What are we going to do if there's a fire on the 9th floor? We don't even have a ladder truck right now that, the fire department has been requesting a new updated ladder truck, and that's going to cost us about $1.5 million. So with that said, we need to, I believe it's out of the character of the city of Glen Cove to have two tall structures like that.
Thank you, Councilman Gallo.
Years ago, that was all industrial. And at 5 o'clock, about 1,000 cars all left at the same time, and not one person complained. And at the same time on Seacliff Avenue, Photo Circuits and Paul Corporation and Slater and everyone else went out, and no one complained, okay? So the fact is, when you get to certain projects, if you have a project on the waterfront, nobody's going to build 1 or 2 story buildings. That's just not the way a developer, especially a piece of property like that you put so much money into. It needs, there's $100 million, there's remediation that goes on there. So you need also, in logic, you need a return on your investment. And as you start to build higher, you don't want to build too higher. You actually make more, and you make more open space. So there's a trade-off with things. But everything's been looked at, and don't forget, there have been meetings for years. These plans have been approved for years.
Thank you, Mayor Spinello. This will be the last question for tonight.
Is there 2 of them?
Yeah, there's 2 questions. You want to pick another one?
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to be able to choose. Who is the largest campaign contributor? Is it corporate or individual? This question will go,
You're going to take 2 minutes on that?
No.
we're going to discard this one? Okay. One more?
Just so as far as campaigns go, basically, we have the same setup. You can get $1,000 from an individual or up to $5,000 from a corporation.
Please outline your administrative experience and background in managing a complex multi-million-dollar budget enterprise. Okay, I'm going to just read that again. There's one word I cannot read. Okay, please outline your administrative experience and background in managing a complex multi-million-dollar budget enterprise. Councilman Gallo.
It's a valid question. Make no mistake about it, though. The research proves that people that put their best foot forward, that are willing to work harder than anybody else, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that I'll be the most effective and most efficient mayor. The mayor here, he doesn't do it on his own. He has an entire team that is assembled that supports him. It's his administration. Now, he does have some financial background. He probably has a little bit more than I do. But I am willing to grab as far as I possibly can to surround myself with the smartest, most talented people that are informed about best practices. Because listen, this office is not just about one person. There are hundreds of employees that are associated with this. So for those out there that would say, hey, what is your experience? I could tell you what, if I bring it down to my own level at my home, I could balance my own budget at home. I could balance my own checkbook at home. I also have a degree in school district administration where I've run a number of summer school programs. I've coordinated literacy programs. And yeah, I got to submit timesheets on time and make sure I hired staff. And sometimes I had to fire some staff as well. But with that said, all of these experiences here, leadership experience, I have that. And I know what it takes to be an effective leader. Now, as far as the learning curve, I'm sure there'll be a learning curve, just like there's a learning curve for Mayor Spinello here. But this office here, I'm going to do my best, and I'll be one of the best mayors in the history of Glen Cove, because I'm going to surround myself with smart and intelligent people and that have a background in finance and finding inefficiencies in budgets.
Mayor Spinello.
Okay. I've been self-employed since I was 26, I believe. So I've had a number of businesses. I've had a lot of successes. I've owned retail businesses in Glen Cove. I had a pharmaceutical company. I've owned ATM businesses. I've had an assortment of businesses. And I've had good people, and it's important that you have good people, but you really do have to know your finances. And right now, especially what's going on in Glen Cove, okay, these are tricky waters, but we've managed them really well. Last year, some of the things I did to get the budget so low, and this year, okay, I know where to find the money. I know what to do. I'm very good at making things work, okay? I have a good team. They're responsive. And it's not just the finances here. You look at our DPW, our police, our services and our quality of services are better than they've ever been. I respect the people. They give it back to me. I get more compliments on the different departments in Glen Cove than they've ever been. We plow the roads better. We clean the roads better. We have programs. We're organized. There's not one day that goes by that someone doesn't come into the office and someone in my staff is helping them. I know how to plan. I know how to plan for the future. And I think in 2 years, I'm very proud of what this administration have done. We've got more accomplished than any other administration I've seen. From fighting illegal housing to bringing businesses and jobs into Glen Cove. I made 8 promises when I was elected. I've kept all 8 of them. And if I'm elected again, I'll make you 8 more promises, and I guarantee you I'll keep those 8 too.
Well, that was a nice response. Just if you take a look at the numbers, though, if you go back to the budgets, I know that the mayor mentioned that he's a planner. He's done things before. If you compare the budget-to-budget increases from last year to this year, that's a 7% increase. That's $3.5 million. He said he's done it in the past. He'll do it again. A lot of times, what I see in the current mayor is that there have been some broken promises throughout the years. For example, you said you're going to cut back on spending, and that has not been the case. But with that said, as it relates to business, my family has owned a business for a long period of time, over 40 years in the city of Glen Cove, and my parents have showed me how to operate a business. They showed me how to be really resourceful. They showed me what it takes to treat customers with dignity and respect. And no matter who you are, if we disagree on issues, I will always respect you at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone.